Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the channel. Your boy, World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite July 1st, 2026 review. And my thoughts on this show is real simple. I thought AEW Dynamite tonight was actually a very good show, falling out from the Forbidden Door show. I really thought it was a very, very entertaining show. Surprisingly enough, I think Dynamite was somewhat better than Forbidden Door. It was a lot more digestible. I didn't feel like it went on forever. And it had storyline progression. Holy fucking shit, Tony Khan. Have you gotten an epiphany? Or is this just a one-time only thing that we're going to see for this week's episode and then we're going to go right back to square one again? Who knows? What I do know is this show was not bad. That's for damn sure. This show went by so fucking quick it wasn't even funny. But I will admit something. Kenny Omega did accept the challenge after the World Championship match with Mark Briscoe and MJF that if he lost next week, this is next week's match. They're not even saving it for redemption. If he loses, he will no longer challenge for the AEW World Championship ever again. Being along with Cody and Hangman Page. Cody Rhodes being that person. Not that he gives a shit. He's winning multiple world championships in WWE with meaningless storylines. So, it is what it is. But, me personally, I think that the decision to push this for next week's Dynamite, not a very good move. I don't like this. I think Kenny Omega's winning the match. I'd like to think that Kenny Omega's going to lose, but I don't think it's happening. Especially the way the show ended tonight. MJF beat the tar out of Kenny Omega, and then at the end, Kenny Omega kind of stood in the middle of the ring after the segment was over, standing tall, and all that jazz. So, I don't know, man. I got bad vibes. He also said he has a secret coming to AEW that's going to back him, and he's going to surprise MJF with that. I'm got a feeling it's Hangman Page. Yep. Not liking that too much. That's the one thing I will criticize this show for. Wrestling was entertaining tonight. I thought the wrestling was fun to sit through. Thankfully we didn't go 30 plus fucking minutes with these matches. God knows that would go on forever. But I thought the show was pretty darn good. Excluding the fact that Kenny Omega more than likely is going to end up winning the world title next week instead of Redemption even. Who he's going to defend the title against, I don't know. Probably a rematch with MJF, for all we know. I have no idea. Honestly, at this point, we have no control over what these promotions do with their championships, their creative booking decisions. We either do what Triple H says. Stop taking it so seriously and have some fun. That's basically what he tries to tell people. You have no creative control. You have no decision on what happens with the shows, so either like it or don't watch. Have fun. And if you're not having fun, don't watch. They don't care. They don't give a shit because they don't need you no more. You are not wanted. You're unnecessary. You're not necessary to them anymore. You used to be. When you were necessary, they said, without you, we didn't exist. Now, they can exist without us. That's why they charge an arm and a leg and see what kind of dummies would go out of their way and spend $10,000 for one ticket to sit front row at a WrestleMania show. I'll tell you who would spend that kind of money. A very rich person or a very dumb fucking person who ain't got the funds to do it. And even if you do have the funds, I still think you're a fucking idiot. Because even if I was rich and I had the funds, I would not go see a WrestleMania or any WWE program show. Period. AEW, different story. They charge at a reasonable price. You can find ways of budgeting to save the money up for going to those events at a reasonable amount of time. You don't have to go out of your way and spend years saving up money to do it. And you can also pay it monthly as another option if you want to do it that way. But to break down a couple $1,000 for tickets to go see a wrestling show you're going to see one time only? No thanks. I'm good. I'll watch it from my home where it's more affordable. And even that I don't even care to fucking spend the money for. But I have this channel, I'll spend the money for it. Not to mention I have ESPN for other reasons besides just wrestling, so they kind of luck out there. But me personally, if I didn't watch ESPN for other reasons, I wouldn't have it, and I wouldn't care to watch WWE's wrestling shows for their PLEs. Wouldn't matter to me. Anyway, show kick-started, though, with MJF and Mark Briscoe. Sorry, taking a swig of the water. This was a good match. Very entertaining. Definitely well worth. It could have been made for a pay-per-view event. I would have paid money for this to watch on pay-per-view. I think it was a good match. Very fun, entertaining stuff. The show did kickstart with a backstage segment after Forbidden Door was over. So, Moxley and Ospreay kind of interacted with each other. First, Renee Paquette tries to get some words from the 2026 Owen Hart Cup winner, Will Ospreay, but he's interrupted by Jon Moxley. Ospreay asked the Continental Champion what he meant a few weeks back, and Moxley offers him some advice and a Death Riders patch, saying Ospreay can ride with him if he chooses. So, basically what he's saying is he's earned his respect. And that's pretty much what Ospreay has done. Me personally, I would be turning Ospreay heel. What sweeter way to get revenge on Jon Moxley by having the rest of his group turn on Jon Moxley themselves to convince them behind the scenes without us knowing anything about it, being a complete and utter surprise, that he convinced them all that Jon Moxley is nothing more than a control freak who doesn't want to see anyone advance or improve their career. And he got the ultimate revenge by making his entire group hate his fucking guts and take his side as being the leader of the Death Riders. That's why I was thinking Bandito was going to win the Continental Championship after the Owen Hart Cup tournament was coming to an end. Because then at that point you'd have legitimate reason to convince that group. Because he's no longer a champion of any kind. He can't declare himself a leader when he ain't no winner. Getting rid of Jon Moxley and getting a new version of the Death Riders with Will Ospreay being the leader of that group as actual heels, and they're a fucking takeover of AEW instead of being this meaningless fucking group that had no direction. Sound like fucking riddles, honestly. And that's the direction I would go. So, Mox walks off. And we see Ospreay is now staring at Kenny Omega, who raises concerns about what Will has been doing, even if he's now the Owen Hart tournament winner. Ospreay is happy to see Omega in this moment, but Kenny isn't his dad in this situation. This is interrupted by the arrival of MJF, who runs down Omega. And by the way, you do see Omega kind of in the background, but you don't know who that really is, but you see some movement going on in that locker room. So I don't know if that was a good camera shot or that was just accidental. I'm not sure. That was kind of odd to me a little bit. But MJF shows up, who runs down Omega and Ospreay before telling Will he'll see him at Wembley, bruv. And that's the match that should be happening, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get, this is sad to say, I think we're going to get an MJF Hangman Page rematch. And I think what is going to happen is that he is going to be forced into having a match with Hangman Page, to where if Hangman Page wins this match, he will be no longer removed from contention for a world title opportunity in the future if he was to win the match, which ultimately he would end up winning and beating MJF for that match, to then be able to challenge have world championship opportunities in the future. That's what I think is going to happen here. I think the only reason why they went with that stipulation was so that they could write Hangman Page off of television for a little while. That, I believe, is the only reason for why they did what they did, instead of sticking to their guns with this. I don't know. I can't see any other way. Well, what else can we actually come up with? A Mick Foley? Mick Foley shows up in Kenny Omega's corner here to help him win against MJF? Come on, man. Let's get real. That would be ridiculous. And then we get the Mick Foley MJF match for Wembley? Come on, that would be shit. I have nothing against Mick Foley. I absolutely adore Mick Foley, what he contributed to the business. That is why I'm concerned of him actually doing this. I don't want to see the man get hurt. I do not want to see the man ruin his career. I honestly believe that if he gets in a match with MJF, he is not going to be up to snuff with how he used to wrestle. He can't wrestle that way. He is broken down. He is old. And it's not to say that in a derogatory or mean, rotten way and, disrespect Mick Foley in any way. It's just physics. It's just his age. He is not in the same shape he once was 20 years ago. The man used to be able to do a lot of crazy shit with his body. He can't do that no more. The man is also forgetful. He has banged his fucking head against all kinds of foreign objects. The guy does not belong in a ring in any way, shape, or form. Straight up. There's another thing we could throw in here. What if Mick Foley is actually that guy? He ends up being the referee, and he's a GM or a commissioner who books matches on this show for the future. Okay, I can't even talk here. Let's just say he goes ahead and Tony Khan makes him the commissioner of AEW, who books the matches strictly on television as a live act. Let's just say that, which he's done a good job doing that before, in WWF days, when wrestling was still good there. And he could play that role. And then he could put the stipulation in where Hangman Page deserves to be able to fight for his right to be back in contention for world championship opportunities in the future. And Mick Foley announces himself as the referee, and he fucks MJF over and helps Hangman Page win the match to then now be able to challenge for a world championship in the future. That's a possibility. Honestly, that's a very strong possibility. But the problem is, we're circle jerking this shit. I don't understand why we can't just get MJF to face Will Ospreay and have him lose to Will Ospreay in his hometown, being that heel. The only way this works with Kenny Omega is that Will Ospreay turns heel that night after he wins the title. In his hometown, no less. That's kind of, whoa, holy shit, it's a really bad look. Let's just put it that way. Their hometown guy gets the win and then turns heel and turns into a fucking prick. Holy fuck. That would be a 180, man. I don't know if I'd like that. Maybe I would. It's depending on how it comes across on TV. It's just the way I feel about it. But, quite frankly, I don't know, guys. I don't know. It seems to me, they might be able to change my mind. They might be able to get me into the idea of that match, of everything that I just said, to be entertaining and fun to watch unfold, but I just don't see it. I don't see that I'm going to enjoy it. I really don't. So the first match of the night was MJF defending the title against Mark Briscoe. As I said, Mark Briscoe ends up losing this match, but it was a fun matchup nonetheless. I'd love to see Mark Briscoe win a world championship at some point in time in his career before he hangs it up in AEW. I love how Tony Khan tries to keep Mark Briscoe relevant from time to time, and he tries to put him in these main event pictures in some capacity, competing with some big names and having some rivalries and sometimes getting over on them. He did on MJF, so I mean, I like that, but who the fuck would think that Mark Briscoe was going to win this match? You gotta be out of your fucking mind. So MJF doesn't take time to celebrate his win as he pulls out his Dynamite diamond ring to land a hard punch on the man he just defeated. Officials come rushing out to stop the champ from doing anything further, but he knocks them away before looking to do it again, only for Kenny Omega to come to rushing down for the save. MJF escapes. Omega grabs a microphone, running MJF down with insults for having to use tables, chairs, and his ring to get what he wants. Looking to challenge for the AEW title tonight. MJF gets the microphone of his own and runs down Omega that he had to compete in a dumpster fire like California against Briscoe, telling Omega the answer is no. But just as quickly as he gets a big idea, his idea is, how about I challenge you for my Triple B next week on Dynamite, where if you lose, you no longer can challenge for the AEW World Championship. And then I'd be able to get rid of you. I've gotten rid of Hangman and Cody Rhodes out of the world title picture. So he says, if you are willing to take the match, you have by the end of the night. If you don't, then the match is off completely. We will not have this take place. Obviously, by the end of the night, Kenny Omega says yes to the idea, and off to the races we go. Backstage, MJF talks about how easy it would be to beat Kenny Omega, reminding folks of all the people he's beaten before, including Omega himself twice. He also mocks Ospreay in the process before claiming Kenny Omega won't even agree to his terms because he is gutless, referencing that his appendix or whatever was removed, his intestine was removed or something. Speaking of Ospreay, Will shows up to make fun of the champ before asking MJF why he's adding such a stipulation. MJF says it's because he's the champ, and no matter what he looks to take down Ospreay at Wembley Stadium. And he walks off and Dynamite rolls on. Back at ringside, Tony Schiavone welcomes Andrade El Idolo as we hear about his decision to split from the Don Callis family at Forbidden Door. He says he's tired of being with the group and is looking for his shot for the AEW World title. So he has one question. Who or how you know? I don't understand this phrase. What is the point of this? How does this catchphrase work? How you know? How I know what? What are we talking about? I feel like I'm talking like Cody Rhodes. What do you want to talk about? I'm asking, what are we talking about? In reference to Andrade. What are we talking about? Anyway. We get a curious answer to this as the Don Callis family blindsides him. They bring Andrade to the ring to continue the beatdown with Brian Cage dropping him down hard. Tell you what, Brian Cage is fucking ripped to the gills, man. He has that old school, roided out look. And I don't think he's doing that shit naturally. I'm sorry to break it to you, fellas. I think that man's on the juice. Just my personal opinion. And if he ain't, congratulations to him. To be able to look like that naturally without any steroids of any kind, that's a fucking impressive, intense working ethic that he has. Because anyone that can look like that and do it naturally, I don't think too many people can. Anyway. Then they connect with the drill claw, sends El Idolo down to the mat with authority, and we see Don has a microphone. The crowd boos big style as Callis tries to get his words out. He mocks Andrade by asking him how he knows before telling his cronies to get him out of here as Kevin Knight has a match to win. So that match would come up next. We get a vignette from Mercedes Moné as she addresses winning the Owen Hart Cup tournament for a second time, saying dreams don't win championship, but she does. The AEW Women's World title is the only thing missing from her collection, and she looks to correct that at All In. Pretty straightforward and to the point. Next, we are having a TNT Championship match with the Jet Kevin Knight defending his title against Lio Rush. The Blackheart Lio Rush. Man. Lio Rush is one fucking crazy character. Let me tell you. I don't know what the fucking deal is with this guy, but he's one strange son of a bitch. His character is just so strange and off the walls. Like, literally. Sorry, just taking a swig here. He moves around like some demonic animal or something like that. He just moves so fucking strange. I have never seen a human being move so odd like that outside of maybe a possessed person. This guy is creepy to the gills. And Don Callis said, "Stay the fuck away from me, you freak." And I don't like Don Callis' character. I mean, I love his character on television because he's an obstacle that and someone you can actually love to hate in a kayfabe sense. And he just does a great job as playing a heel. So I love Don Callis as a heel. I just will never cheer for him because I don't think he's one of those cool heels. He's more like a fucking annoying prick. But he's that kind of annoying prick that you want to, have an adversary towards your favorite wrestler. You want to see kick his ass, or his guy that goes in the ring and have their ass kicked. But yeah, this match was kind of fun. I enjoyed it. It was off the walls, crazy. I mean, Lio Rush did some good moves in this match. His character being as oddball and weird as it is, he was not bad in this ring tonight. I had a lot of fun watching this. This was a lot of fun. Very enjoyable. I mean, Lio Rush didn't win. But I think maybe in the future, I'd be okay with him winning the TNT title when it's suitable. When it's a suitable time for him to win that championship, when there's an actual possible story for him to win that title, I'd be okay with it. I really would. He is one strange fucking crazy son of a bitch. That's all I gotta say about that. But, yeah. I had a lot of fun watching this match. This was a really good match. A fast pace. Gelled well. I didn't really see any mistakes. Lio Rush has got this odd... I'd really like to know what voice in his head is telling him shit that he's going, no, no, no. Like, bro, who's talking to you in your head? We never get an explanation of that. It's always a mystery. Maybe that's part of the gimmick, but it doesn't really help connect the dots on what the fuck's going on with this dude. But anyway, after the match is over, the champ doesn't have time to celebrate as Darby Allin's music hits, and the former AEW World Champion comes out to the ramp with a microphone. He calls Knight out for a TNT title shot. Why are you challenging for a B-level championship when you recently won the AEW World Championship? Why don't you just look to even out the odds and get even with this bastard? Why does the title have to be on the line? To me, it seems a little fucking dumb, but whatever. He continues on saying if Knight refuses, then what happened at Forbidden Door will keep on happening. Kevin says he's tired of dealing with Allen, so the answer is, and then Don Callis pulls the mic away from him, laying the situation out to Darby. He addresses what Darby did at Forbidden Door, saying he crossed the line from wrestler to criminal. Really? Is that true? What about the screwdriver you've used on your victims, Don? What the fuck are you talking about? You using screwdrivers on people and stabbing them in the fucking... You gotta be out of your freaking mind. Get out of here. Anyway. So, and the Don Callis family doesn't deal with criminal behavior. Bullshit. So Darby will never get a shot at Kevin Knight as far as he's concerned. Darby responds by telling Knight he's dug his grave, walking away as Callis talks about protecting his family. Okay. We then take a look at Chris Jericho having Shivani tell everyone he's better than Ciampa before we head backstage where, and this was during Collision, by the way. We then head to backstage where Tommaso Ciampa addresses the situation only to be attacked by Chris Jericho outside the arena. The two brawl to the outside where Jericho gets slammed down to the ground before Ciampa grabs a drill. Holy shit. Jericho stops that attack, but Tommaso continues to beat him down without it before security intervenes. This allows Jericho to get to the top on him with a crossbody from the back of a production truck before security breaks things up. A Commentary hypes their match next week at Beach Break, as well as Survival of the Fittest later tonight for the TBS Women's Championship. We also hear from Jay White later tonight, but up next is Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay facing the Swirl, being Blake Christian and Lee Johnson, I believe, or Lee Moriarty, some shit like that. I don't know. Backstage before this match even took place, the Young Bucks were with Kenny Omega. They were kind of discussing what's going to happen, what he should do, kind of making this feel like his big life decision or something. Like, really, does he have much of a choice? He's near the end of his career. He's been talking about how he doesn't even think he has another chance at this title. And his chances of getting a world title opportunity and winning it is coming down to the end. So, obviously, what does it matter at this point? He has nothing to lose. Because at this point in his age, when is he ever going to get another title shot at this point? He really should just be retired if he ends up losing this match. That's what should happen, honestly. And we know that he ain't going to lose. So, he's winning at Beach Break next week. Sorry to break it to you guys. As much as I'm a MJF fan, I gotta come to the realization that's what's happened. Unless there's some sort of disqualification, MJF gets disqualified, and he doesn't actually end up losing the match, making the stipulation null and void, and Kenny Omega wins the match by disqualification, but doesn't actually win the title, leaving us stuck with another match between these two. Oh, God help me. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the fucking case. I really hope that ain't the fucking case. Holy shit. I can't believe I just thought about that. That could actually happen on this fucking show. And it's in Clearwater, Florida. It's in the state of Florida, so why give Florida a good fucking show? Just fuck us over, give us no ending, and give us a disqualification to continue on this horrendous load of crap that you're going to continue to keep teasing, which we know is going to happen. It's going to be Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay for the World Championship at All In Wembley Stadium. Come on. Anyway, Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay, they teamed together against Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. This was alright, but it went on too long than what it needed to be. I honestly felt this more should have been a squash match than anything. They're not really AEW main roster talent. They're fucking Ring of Honor shit. So who cares? Ospreay celebrates in the ring. Oh, and they did a nice combination. Jon Moxley connected the paradigm shift. The guy, I think it was Blake Christian, or was it Blake Christian or Lee Moriarty? It was not Lee Moriarty. Lee Johnson. Yeah, it was Lee Johnson. So Mox hit the paradigm shift, and then following that with Lee Johnson kind of like sitting upwards like he's in a daze. He gets hit with the Hidden Blade combination, and they get the W. That's a hell of a fucking combo for a tag team. I loved it. I thought it was nice as shit. Ospreay celebrates in the ring as Mox and Marina Shafir exit through the crowd, and we go to an interview with Cage and Cope after Forbidden Door, where Christian addresses the pair winning to retain their titles over the Dogs. He just wants to know what Jay White was doing out there, and Cope says the Switchblade owed him a favor, and now they're even. Cage recounts his issues with Jay White before walking off, and Dynamite rolls on. Okay. Don't quite remember what that was, but alright. Back at ringside, Jay White's accompanied by the Bang Bang Gang. Oh boy, what a fucked up name. Jay gets a microphone to address that it's been 459 days. Holy shit. 459 days since he's had a chance to talk to the people, saying hello to his San Diego Gold members. He addresses the fact the crowd aren't as worried about the Death Riders as they were when he was here last, and he won't spend much time tonight addressing the biggest fraud of them all, referring to Will Ospreay, apparently. Jay turns his attention to the dogs, making a whole "who let the dogs out" joke before addressing his history with David Finlay in particular. Now, David Finlay, Jay White, big card grudge match, storyline build going into All In at Wembley Stadium. Sign me the fuck up, please. I want to see that. I want to see David Finlay get a massive push. No more group shit. Tag team, 6-man tag. I want to see him do a singles run on his own. He can interact with Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd and all that shit. That's fine with me. But I want to see a storyline built between Jay White and David Finlay. I think these two will tell a good story, and I think we will get a fucking awesome, entertaining matchup between two decent wrestlers. Jay White definitely is a great wrestler. David Finlay is somewhat good. I think he could be... they could gel well together the way they wrestle. I really do. I think this match would be a lot of fun to watch. I think we would find some value out of David Finlay with Jay White being teamed together in a program. I think we would get something out of this, if it's done right, that is. But hey, that's just me. Anyway, he talks about how good Finlay is as someone born into this business. But all of that doesn't change a fact that David Finlay is a Nippo baby bitch boy. This gets a Nippo baby chant. But Jay tells them to wait until he's out here for that. He talks about Finlay's arrogance, sticking up the place, with Jay offering to give us some fresh air. He tells Finlay that Saturday or Sunday was just the beginning, as this is the Switchblade era. And if you're not down with that, we've got 2 words for you: guns up. Okay. With that, we head backstage where STP calls out the Bang Bang Gang for a 8-man tag team match at Collision before Dynamite rolls on once more. Back at ringside, it's time for our main event. It's the survival of the fittest. Each competitors make their entrance with commentary talking about how they qualified for this TBS championship match before we get things underway. The winner of this match was, I believe it was... I'm trying to remember who the hell it was. I can't remember who the fuck won the... My brain just had a fart. I had a brain fart here. You'd think I had paid attention. I didn't. It don't fucking matter. The fucking title is meaningless. So the winner was Hikaru Shida. She was the one that won. Chris Statlander was actually the one that was knocked unconscious by one of the participants in this match, which were eliminated. She got hit in the head with the TBS Women's Championship, and Hikaru Shida wins by submission and becomes the new TBS Women's Champion. Wow, great stuff there. So Shida celebrates her win as Persephone can be heard telling the new champ she owes her, and we cut backstage where Kenny Omega is still having a very hard just thinking really hard about his decision, which would come up next. I mean, I've already gone over all that. His attitude was, look, I'm as good as I once were. I may be older and whatnot, but I'm still the bout machine and even the god of pro wrestling, as some people might call me. And he says, yes, I do accept your challenge. I accept the stipulations, and I'll see you next week at Beach Break in Clearwater, Florida. And one thing led to the other. MJF attacked him, got a little bit of an upper hand, and then Kenny Omega got the upper hand on MJF to close out the show. And that's basically it. That was your show in a nutshell. Again, I'm not liking the idea of Kenny Omega winning, but we all have to accept the fact that that's probably what's going to happen. More than likely, I would say 99% sure that's what's going to happen. I'm leaving that 1% because maybe Tony Khan changes his mind, maybe he sees people upset about it, and maybe he says, you know what, maybe I should just leave this alone and have Kenny Omega lose. Or maybe just have him win without winning the title. Something like that. And then we have a rematch, the stipulation in on the line, and he ends up losing the match to MJF, and that's it. And we'll leave it at that. Maybe that's the direction. But I highly doubt that that's the case. So yeah, I think Kenny Omega is winning the title next week, as sad as that might be. God forbid they extend this to Redemption. God. They still could fucking have Kenny Omega win on AEW television and then have him have a rematch with MJF in a rematch and end up retaining the title altogether, winning back-to-back matches against MJF. And, yeah. Not really liking those scenarios. Not having fun with that one bit, because I want to see MJF headline Wembley Stadium against Will Ospreay. I think that would be the appropriate thing, being Will Ospreay is a babyface right now, but there could be a change. Will Ospreay could become a heel in his hometown after winning the world title in his hometown. That would be a hell of a fucking 180. Just saying. But that's just my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments. I'll definitely gladly respond back to you guys as always. And I will, if you like this video, as usual, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys.